A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Great is the power of steady misrepresentation, but the history of science shows that fortunately, this power does not long endure. The highest stage in moral culture at which we can arrive, is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. One general law, leading to the advancement of all organic beings, namely, multiply, vary, let the strongest live and the weakest die. The young and the old of widely different races, both with man and animals, express the same state of mind by the same movements. Everything in nature is the result of fixed laws. If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music at least once every week. We must, however, acknowledge, as it seems to me, that man with all his noble qualities, still bears in his bodily frame the indelible stamp of his lowly origin. A man who dares to waste 1 hour of time has not discovered the value of life. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. It is those who know little, not those who know much, who so positively assert that this or that problem will never be solved by science. If the misery of the poor be caused not by the laws of nature, but by our institutions, great is our sin. We stopped looking for monsters under our bed when we realized that they were inside us. The mystery of the beginning of all things is insoluble by us, and I for one must be content to remain an agnostic. An American monkey, after getting drunk on brandy, would never touch it again, and thus is much wiser than most men. The highest possible stage in moral culture is when we recognize that we ought to control our thoughts. Intelligence is based on how efficient a species became at doing the things they need to survive. Nothing is easier than to admit in words the truth of the universal struggle for life, or more difficult, at least I have found it so, than constantly to bear this conclusion in mind. In the long history of humankind, and animal kind, too, those who learn to collaborate and improvise most effectively have prevailed. Besides love and sympathy, animals exhibit other qualities connected with the social instincts which in us would be called moral. We can allow satellites, planets, suns, universe, nay whole systems of universe, to be governed by laws, but the smallest insect, we wish to be created at once by special act.